Part 1. The origin of the epidemic. When the virus spreads to the entire animal kingdom.
If the zombie pandemic affects not only humans, but also the entire animal kingdom, its beginnings will be very different from what we imagine. In this scenario, the zombie virus has cross-species transmission, meaning it is not limited by biological barriers between humans and animals. In the real world, some viruses such as avian influenza, H5N1, rabies, or Ebola have demonstrated the ability to spread from animals to humans. If a zombie virus variant can evolve beyond this point, it will bind to the nerve receptors of all species with a central nervous system, from lower microorganisms to mammals. The initial scenario may originate from an intermediate species, for example, bats, rats, or domestic animals. Once the virus crosses the species barrier, it no longer selects its victims. Dogs, cats, livestock, birds, fish in rivers and seas all become mobile epidemics. The direct consequence, the natural food chain, is broken immediately. What is even more frightening is the speed of replication. Instead of just a few million infections in the human community, the animal zombie pandemic will start with billions of individuals immediately. Because on Earth, the total number of wild animals and livestock is dozens of times larger than the human population. In other words, when day one hits, there will be no time for humans to prepare as in a traditional zombie scenario. Instead, day zero will be a biological apocalypse. Part 2. The collapse of the ecological balance. When nature becomes the enemy as soon as the zombie virus spreads to the entire animal kingdom, the ecological balance of the Earth will collapse in just a few weeks. Humans will not only have to face two-legged zombies, but also a completely deformed ecosystem. In nature, living things survive thanks to the food chain and the balance of numbers. When animals turn into zombies, this entire mechanism breaks down. Herbivores such as buffalo, cows, deer will no longer stop to graze or migrate seasonally. They become sweeping machines that constantly move, destroying fields, forests, and agricultural infrastructure. The consequence is a global food shortage in a short time. Carnivores such as wolves, lions, crocodiles, or tigers will no longer have territorial limits. A zombie tiger can move continuously for hundreds of kilometers, hunting anything that has life. A pack of zombie wolves would be as destructive as a walking bioweapon. Zombie birds would turn the skies into a menace. Flocks of infected crows, pigeons, and sparrows could attack cities, transmitting the virus through their bites, and even spread to other continents in just a few days thanks to their ability to fly far. Insects are the real terror. If mosquitoes become infected with zombies, they will suck human blood and transmit the virus in the same way malaria is spread. The current population of mosquitoes on Earth is estimated to be up to 100 trillion individuals, meaning that humans will face an unstoppable storm of infection. The next consequence, the ocean ecosystem will also collapse. Zombie fish will no longer migrate with the currents, but attack everything. Zombie sharks will swim close to shore, attacking fishing boats and ports. Millions of small zombie fish will become a biological cloud that will tear apart everything they encounter. This leads to a domino effect. Humans lose their main source of food from agriculture and aquaculture. Domestic animals such as dogs, cats, poultry, pigs, chicken, instead of being companions, become dangers in the house. Forests, grasslands, and oceans, which are shelters for life, now turn into death zones that humans dare not enter. If a normal zombie pandemic only destroys human society, then in this scenario, the entire Earth becomes a biological machine against us. Part 3. Humans in the face of total disaster. When animals began to turn into zombies, humans immediately became the epicenter of the disaster. Not only because we were easy targets when living concentrated in cities, but also because the survival of human society depended on supply chains, technology, and social organization that were extremely fragile in the face of global events. 1. Cities and chaos. Large cities, which were crowded and completely dependent on food, electricity, and water distribution systems, became the fastest outbreak points. Just a flock of zombie birds invaded or an infected dog in a residential area, the disease spread at an uncontrolled rate. Hospitals were overloaded, the government declared a state of emergency, but panic caused traffic jams, riots, and looting broke out. The centers of civilization suddenly became chaotic pressure cookers where people trampled on each other to survive. 2. Rural areas and the food system. People in rural areas seem safer, but the livestock themselves, cows, chickens, pigs, pose a potential threat. A herd of zombie pigs can flatten entire villages. Agriculture is paralyzed, fields are abandoned, livestock cannot be raised, zombie insects destroy crops. The global food system collapses in just a few weeks, plunging humanity into mass starvation. 3. Military and government. Governments respond with force, martial law, quarantine stations, heavy weapons to cleanse infected areas. However, the effects are only local. Marines cannot fight against oceans filled with zombie creatures, nor can the Air Force stop infected birds from flying across continents. The military's inability gradually erodes people's trust in government. Some countries choose to isolate their borders, exterminating both people and animals in suspected infected areas, turning these areas into dead zones. 4. Science and despair. Scientists race to find a vaccine or cure, but zombies are not just a simple virus. They mutate, take over the nervous system, and spread across many different species. Creating a cure is nearly impossible. Some laboratories are desperately testing biological weapons to kill zombies, but the risk of creating an even more terrible variant puts humanity on the brink of self-destruction. 5. Society and religion. Meanwhile, society is fractured. Small communities have established themselves as survival strongholds, closed off from the outside world. Religious beliefs and superstitions are on the rise. Many people see the zombie pandemic as a punishment from God or the apocalypse in the Bible. Extremist sects take advantage of the opportunity to control and force followers to sacrifice themselves to redeem their souls. 6. Technology and survival. The survivors try to use technology, drones to spy on the zombie hordes, AI to predict their movements, 3D printing to create weapons and tools. However, the lack of electricity, fuel, and supply chains causes technology to gradually wither. Eventually, humanity returns to a primitive form of survival, hunting, gathering, living in small groups, relying more on instinct than machines. Humans are no longer the absolute masters of the earth, but have become a species being hunted in their own planet. Survival or extinction now depends not only on intelligence, but also on the ability to adapt to a world where any creature, from a small sparrow to a giant elephant, can become an unstoppable enemy. Part 4. Doomsday scenario. Earth transforms into a zombie planet. When all animals, from small ones like ants, bees, mice, to large ones like elephants, tigers, whales, all turn into zombies, the Earth will enter an unprecedented period of chaos. This is not simply a biological epidemic, but a change in the global ecological structure, pushing the planet to the brink of collapse. Imagine flocks of zombie birds flying in the sky, schools of zombie fish moving in the ocean, and swarms of zombie ants crawling on the ground. Their presence will create a biological cover on the planet. Instead of a diversity of species, the Earth now has only one form of life: zombies. Climate and environmental change. When zombie animals destroy plants, hunt indiscriminately, and pollute from rotting corpses, the Earth's biological cycle is broken. Methane gas from decomposing corpses increases, contributing to the acceleration of the greenhouse effect. The seas and rivers are filled with decaying animal corpses, and water sources are heavily polluted. Without natural regulation, the climate fluctuates extremely, and the atmosphere gradually becomes toxic. Earth, a living but dead planet. In this scenario, Earth could become a zombie planet. On the surface, it is full of movement, but on the inside, it is only destruction. Herds of soulless creatures move continuously, but do not create any regeneration or development. No more reproduction, no more evolution, no more innovation. Just an endless cycle of tearing and spreading. The risk beyond Earth. A more frightening question: if animal zombies still exist, can the ability to spread escape the planet? For example, a flock of zombie birds flies far beyond the atmosphere, or animal carcasses are swept into space by rockets, satellites, or meteors. At that time, zombies are no longer just a disaster for Earth, but can become a cosmic epidemic.
And so, the what if animals turned into zombies hypothesis has come to an end. A scenario that is both horrifying and worth pondering. If animals and humans turn into zombies, the Earth will change forever. Thank you for watching until the end. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to continue accompanying the upcoming attractive what if scenarios. See you again.